UFC 302 Makhachev versus Poirier is this Saturday. The press conference was earlier today. I'm even more excited now. There seems to be some genuine bad blood. They're pissed at each other. That's going to be a war. I've got your best bets for the entire card, including the main event, coming right up. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the 10-7 MMA. I'm your boy DS, and I'm here to cover UFC 302 Makhachev versus Poirier. It's this Saturday. It's a huge card. I'm very excited for it. If you saw the press conference, you're probably just as excited as I am. At the end there, well, maybe you stopped watching right after they weighed in. I hope you didn't miss the stare downs, because Poirier and Makhachev got into it a little bit. It looked like Poirier maybe called him MF or something like that. I don't know. I'm pumped for this card, though. And, of course, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the entire card. I'm going to give you my thoughts on if I'm betting it. And if I'm not, just give you a quick tidbit on why I'm not betting it. We'll have some money line stuff. There's a couple prop bets in there. But let's get right to it. First fight of the night. We've got Andre Lima. He's taking on Mitch Raposo. If you saw our breakdown video, we know Andre Lima from more than anything at this point of his career. And hopefully he does more in the career where he'll be known for, other than being bitten, of course, and then getting it tattooed. I forgot who it was versus. He got cut, the guy that was also from Dancing with the Stars, as we say, Igor Severino. But that's neither here nor there. He's taking on Mitch Raposo. There's not a whole ton on either of these guys, but for me, Andre Lima has the better striking. He's got more power. And on top of that, I haven't seen too much from Mitch Raposo that really gives me a lot of pause in this matchup for Andre Lima. So I am going to take the money line here. I do like Lima at the money line. He is a minus 270 favorite. Could it be a little bit closer? Sure, two relatively unknown guys, but I'll take the money line here. Easy peasy. Moving on. Next fight of the night, we've got Joselyne Edwards taking on Ailin Perez. And as we covered, of course, again in the breakdown video, there's a bad blood here too. So Ailin Perez got punched in the face by Joselyne Edwards. We'll see what happens. They're going to be punching each other in the face some more. This is an interesting one, right? The odds are somewhat close. I don't know if Ailin Perez should necessarily be minus 185, but listen, it's a women's fight. It's not the most high-level fight. This one is going to be fun to watch. There's going to be a lot of movement back there going on. I'll be watching with bated breath here, but I'm not going to be betting this one. There's just too many variables. Joselyne Edwards, the taller, rangier fighter, but, kind of like athletically doesn't give me too much, to be honest with you. Ailin Perez, she's a mad woman. She's got the grappling advantage here. I picked her to win, but I'm just not super comfortable. Even at the odds where they are, I'm just not super comfortable betting this one. In any case, moving on. Next fight of the night, we're talking about Gall. He has taken on Bassil Hafez. We saw Bassil Hafez put on a really nice performance versus JDM, which not a lot of people really expected. He is still relatively raw, even though he's 32 years old. He's taken on Gall, who, again, why is he still in the UFC? I wasn't really aware that he still is in the UFC. So this is a very straightforward one for me. Originally when we made the video, the odds were minus 290. He swelled to a minus 395. But I'm just so confident in this one, man. Sure, we have seen a lot of inexperienced fighters getting fraud checked recently, but I don't really expect that to happen here. I'm pretty comfortable, even at minus 395, taking Bassil Hafez on the money line, and I will do that. Moving on. Next fight on the docket, we've got Phil Rowe. He is taking on Jake Matthews, one of my guys, one of my boys. Jake Matthews, he was a minus 65 favorite, so the line has kind of gotten closer a little bit here. Phil Rowe was plus 135. He's now plus 130. I'm not going to be betting this one, man. I'm not going to bet it. I expect Phil Rowe to win, even though I got my boy on this side, and it's, he's an underdog, right? So this makes the pick a little bit attractive here. If I was going to sprinkle anything, I would sprinkle on Phil Rowe money line, because obviously the odds are just better there. And I do expect it to be a close fight. I expect Phil Rowe to win, but, Jake Matthews, he started as a grappler, started as more of a wrestler. The striking had kind of come into its own, but he can be very inconsistent at times. And truthfully, Phil Rowe can be a little bit inconsistent at times. So I'm not going to be betting this one. I'm going to skip it. Next one, we've got Grant Dawson Grant KGD Dawson. He is taking on Joe Solecki. This one's straightforward for me. I'm going to take Grant Dawson here. I'm taking him. Minus 500 is not great. When we recorded the original video, he was at a minus 320, so a lot of money coming in on Grant Dawson. I just, I'm going to take him. I'm going to take him. I don't think Joe Solecki, he's got really good grappling, but so does Grant Dawson. Grant Dawson arguably has better grappling, and he certainly has a lot more experience. He's fought much higher level competition. He only has 2 losses on his record. So, for me, this is a very straightforward one. Grant Dawson is better on the feet. Joe Solecki is not only worse on the feet, he is maybe one of the worst strikers in the division. So this is a very comfortable one. I don't love the odds. I certainly love them a lot more at minus 320, but I will take it even at minus 500. Moving on, we've got some big boys in the arena. I'm talking about Jailton Almeida and Alexandr Romanov. Jailton Almeida, we know what he likes to do, right? He's an undersized heavyweight, but he still likes to take people down and hold them there. Alexandr Romanov has okay grappling. He's a decent grappler himself, but you never know what you're going to get with him, right? He used to be pretty lean, pretty jacked. He's gotten fatter and fatter as the time has gone on. So versus a guy like Jailton Almeida, I think this is kind of a gimme. This is a big step down in competition. Clearly the UFC is still trying to make Jailton Almeida happen. I expect Jailton Almeida to just kind of ragdoll him, quite frankly. Point blank. I expect him to be ragdolled. Maybe Jailton will do a little bit of damage here. So, as you could probably tell by now, I am going to be taking Jailton Almeida on the money line, minus 310. Those are actually, I think those are pretty good odds. I think this is pretty straightforward. I just don't really see a much heavier, much slower, much less explosive Alexandr Romanov. I just don't see it happening. So, moving on. Next fight, we've got Roman Kopylov. He is taking on Cesar Almeida. This is an interesting one. Here. I've gone back and forth on this one. Cesar Almeida, if you haven't seen, because he's only 5-0 as an MMA fighter, and he's already 36 years old. But as we talked about in the breakdown video again, 3 fights versus Alex Pereira. He took all 3 to decision. He did lose 2 of them, but that just goes to show you the level of kickboxing that he has. He's an unbelievable kickboxer. And he also showed really good takedown defense on Dana White's Contender Series. He's taking on Roman Kopylov. Roman Kopylov, really, really good boxing, right? But come on, if we're talking pure striking here, and that's where we really expect this fight to happen, I'm going with Cesar Almeida, and I'm picking him. And honestly, I would sprinkle a little bit. He was at plus money. He was at plus 115. But even still, I'm not super comfortable putting it into the parlay. Again, we've seen people get fraud checked recently, and especially a pretty one-dimensional fighter, right? At the end of the day, he is a striking specialist. So, Roman Kopylov, he is a pretty good, he could be a pretty good wrestler. So the more experienced MMA fighter, the more experienced UFC fighter versus somebody who I expect to have a major advantage on the feet and a fight that I expect to take place on the feet. So this is a tough one. I wouldn't necessarily parlay it. I may probably just keep my money in my pocket for this one. But if I was going to bet anything, I would be betting on Cesar Almeida. Again, like them better at the plus money, but it is what it is. We roll with the punches. Next one, we've got Randy Rude Boy Brown. He is taking on Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. I expect Randy Brown to win this one, man. I do. Zaleski dos Santos, he is getting old. We saw what happened with another high-level Brazilian striker recently who's getting, to kind of the end of his career. At some point, you just drop off the cliff. Will that be this fight? I kind of, I'm thinking he's getting pretty close, right? And he's taking on Randy Brown, who is a pretty smart striker, right? He utilizes distance well. He's got great movement. He can be a little bit inconsistent at times too. So that's kind of my only pause here, right? And also, all it takes is one spinning hook kick or spinning back kick to land on the jaw, and Randy Brown's going out. I'm not going to bet it. I'm going to skip it. But if I were to bet anything, and obviously I picked him to win, I liked them better at minus 155, which were the odds when we did the breakdown video. But even at minus 180, I guess I would consider taking them. But for the purpose of, your truly best bets, and trying to make as much money as possible and not lose too much, I'm going to skip that one. Next fight, we've got Niko Price. He has taken on Alex Morono. This one I expect it to be pretty close, man. You know, I believe I picked Niko Price, if I'm not mistaken. So that kind of goes to show you. Obviously, Alex Morono is a sizable underdog. Money it stayed pretty much even, minus 260 when we made the video, minus 260 now. But yeah, I mean, for some reason, I think Niko Price, he's a wild man. He's going to make something happen. But because Niko Price is so wild, and because Alex Morono kind of like is okay at everything, and, you know, he lands some shots, but he's been chinned, and I'm just, you know, it's not like the highest level fight, right? And a lot of things can happen. There's a wide range of outcomes here, in my opinion. So I'm just simply going to skip it. But it's a great fight, though, or has the potential to be a great fight. Next one on the docket, we've got Kevin Holland. He is taking on Michal Oleksiejczuk. Kevin Holland is moving back up to 185 after having, you know, I guess mixed results, but I thought he was doing pretty well at welterweight. But, you know, is it out of laziness? Is it out of, you know, we've seen him kind of not have the mental aspect of the game too much. Is he just fighting for a paycheck? It's highly possible. Michal Oleksiejczuk, you know, he's a dog. He's going to go for it, right? He's a plus 235 underdog. The odds have swelled in the favor of Kevin Holland since we made the breakdown video. But, man, I expect Kevin Holland to win. But I personally went back and forth on this one. I was kind of 50-50 on it. Michal Oleksiejczuk, he could give him some problems, man. If Kevin Holland's not taking him seriously, I absolutely could see some problems for him here. If I were going to bet anything, I guess I would take Kevin Holland on the money line at minus 290. But, man, the odds are going the wrong way, in my opinion. And I think it should be a lot closer to 50-50. Even though I do expect Kevin Holland to win, I'm just not comfortable betting it. All right, moving on to the co-main event of the evening. At 185, we've got Sean Strickland. He's taking on Paulo Costa. And, I mean, the main event is sick, obviously, but the co-main event is incredible. This is going to be an incredible banger of a fight. Also, just want to drop real quick, in terms of Paulo Costa, we want to give a shout-out to our boy and friend of the channel, Captain Eric Albarracin. We are actually on a collaborated reel on Instagram with Paulo Costa and Captain Eric, super randomly, but love it, respect it. Go check that out if you haven't. It's the same as the channel at the 107 MMA. So go check that out on Instagram. Pretty interesting. Shout out to Captain Eric. But getting back to the betting side of things here. Look, man, I expect Sean Strickland to win this fight. I expect him to walk down, use the jab. Paulo Costa is definitely going to land some shots. And Sean Strickland at the press conference today said these guys are going to bleed. Also, something interesting that's happening here, the new UFC gloves, you know, these guys are going to be throwing some heavy blows. I've heard that the new UFC gloves are stiffer, and maybe people are being more prone to cuts. I expect to see some blood in this one. I expect Sean Strickland to win it, man, but I'm not super duper confident in that. The fact that it's a 5-round fight, though, I really do think benefits Sean Strickland a lot. Paulo Costa, though, man, one shot could put you out. How did Bobby Knuckles survive that head kick last time out versus Paulo Costa? That shit was crazy. But Paulo Costa looked really good, man. That was a pretty damn close fight. I was biting my nails as a Bobby Knuckles fan. But I'm a huge Paulo Costa fan too, man. And Sean Strickland, former champion. I mean, he always puts on a damn show, even though he does fight pretty defensively. For the sake of being safe, I'm going to skip this one, man. But something fun that could be something smart that you could bet on could potentially be a late Sean Strickland finish. Maybe a round 4, round 5 Sean Strickland TKO finish. I could absolutely see that happening. Even though Paulo Costa, for his size and stature, he does have pretty good cardio at 185. But Sean Strickland, I think, is just going to put it on him in the last couple rounds. So, man, that could be something interesting. But for the sake of making it truly the best bets, I'm going to skip it. Excuse me. All right, getting to the main event of the evening. We, of course, have the champion, number 1 pound-for-pound fighter, Islam Makhachev. He has taken on Dustin, the Diamond, Poirier. Shine bright like a diamond. So I'm talking about. This is going to be a banger of a fight. Well, maybe not. But it's going to be one of those fights where, you know, you got a little bit of something in your throat. You got a little bit of something in your stomach. You feel your balls drop as they're walking out. You might be standing up for this one, right? It's going to be one of those. From a betting perspective, man, listen, I love Dustin Poirier. I respect him as a fighter. Islam Makhachev he's different, man. He's built different. He's really goddamn good. Yeah, I think he gets the finish here. And for me, it seems so obvious, but sometimes the obvious is obvious for a reason, right? And I expect Islam Makhachev to win by submission. Why wouldn't he? So and then minus 120 on that. I think those are really good odds. So I'm going to be specific on this one. But yeah, I'm taking Islam Makhachev by sub. And that's pretty much it for the card. That is it for the card. It's a pretty top-heavy card, let's say. But overall, if you're truly a fan of the sport, I think it's still a very good card. Obviously, the main and co-main are just incredible. And on that note, let's just go through real quick. I'm going to just give you the actual bets that I made since, I've been kind of long-winded here, going on 15, 20 minutes, whatever the fuck it is. Going through them real quick. I'm taking Andre Lima on the money line versus Mitch Raposo. I'm taking the over 2.5 rounds at Ailin Perez versus Joselyne Edwards. I just don't see this fight going, or I just don't see anybody getting a finish here. I don't see anybody getting a finish here at all. So I'm taking the minus 280 here on the over 2.5 rounds. Bassil Hafez, I'm taking him at minus 395 versus Gall. I'm taking Grant Dawson on the money line at minus 500 versus Joe Solecki. Joe Solecki got nothing for him on the feet. I'm taking Jailton Almeida at minus 310. He's taking on, of course, Alexandr Romanov. And then finally, I'm taking Islam Makhachev to win by submission. It's obvious, but I really do think that's what's going to happen. I think we probably see like a second round sub. I think when we did the breakdown video, I said first, but then I thought about who Islam Makhachev is as a fighter and the respect that Khabib has for somebody like Dustin Poirier. Maybe the flare up at the press conference changes that, but I think that's what Dustin Poirier wants. I think he wants to get in his head and kind of have him, make a mistake, rush it. But if you were to put all those 6 bets into a little Parlays, that would, if you're feeling frisky, of course, that would give you plus 578 odds. That's some pretty good money to be made there. Sprinkle a little bit, sprinkle a lot, do what you want. It's your money. But I'm pretty confident in these picks. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And of course, please like and subscribe. Smash that. Smash the like button. Smash that subscribe button. Ring that little bell. All right? And of course, follow us at D107MMA on Instagram. And remember, check out that Paulo Costa reel with Captain Eric as well. That's all I got for you guys today. I'm pumped for the card. Let's get it.